I read a comment on Reddit in the Game of the Year subreddit, and I don't have it anymore, but it went something like this. Silksong was good, but it's not Expedition 33 good.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
And I actually see comments like this on every YouTube video, Instagram post, Reddit thread, and bathroom stall I squat down to take a shit in. And you know what? Enough is enough. I'm gonna talk about it now. I'm not gonna try to weigh in on any of the other permutations of a game versus another game for a Game of the Year. For example, I'm not gonna try and tell you who should win in a battle between Silksong and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or Expedition 33 versus Hades 2, or Death Stranding versus DK Bonanza, partly because I haven't played a lot of the other nominees, and mostly because I want to focus in on the two games that I feel are the frontrunners, and also mostly because I feel like Silksong is about to get f***ed.
My hunch is that you're going to get f***ed, because I've seen you get f***ed a lot, and I've never seen Logan get f***ed once.
I don't think it's any stretch at all to assume that the big award is gonna go to one of these two. Kingdom Come and Hades 2 are also very talked about and have sold a lot of copies in 2025, but the sheer volume of discussion and think pieces and video essays and reviews that focus on either Silksong or Expedition 33 really lead me to believe that it's gonna be one of these two. And comments like the one that I read to you at the beginning of the video really confuse me, because what do you mean Silksong is not Expedition 33 good? What does that mean? Like, let me ask you this. Would you concede that Hollow Knight is Expedition 33 good? Hollow Knight was and is a genre-defining masterpiece and has been the de facto measuring stick for all modern Metroidvanias for the better part of the last decade. Expedition 33 could become that too for turn-based JRPGs. That remains to be seen. We need a little bit more time. But do you feel comfortable making that same statement about Hollow Knight, that it's not Expedition 33 good? And if you don't, why the double-decker Scar Singer Carmelita Coral Chambers would you say that about a game that is every bit the same level of quality as Hollow Knight? And not just that, a game that many, including me, consider to be an improvement on Hollow Knight in almost every way. I want to compare these two games on their greatest strengths as I see them, and then, after that, you can try to make your argument in the comments about why Expedition 33 is so objectively better and so objectively more deserving of the big prize. Spoiler alert, if you haven't already picked up on it, I think that's a load of gestural shit. These two games are both equally deserving of the crown, and I think we all need to accept that who you think should win ought to come down to nothing other than personal preference. No more grandstanding, snooty comments about the rightful winner. Just say, I think E33, or I think Silksong. That's the goal of this video, to make that point. Again, let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Also like and subscribe, or I'll send Lune after you with her stupid, scary AI generated ass looking smile. So what exactly is so much better about Expedition 33 that it apparently is gonna beat the holy shit out of Silksong? Fucking beats me. But the three most common points of praise I hear thrown at this game are 1. How good its art is, 2. How good its music is, 3. How good its combat is, and 4. How good its story is. You could add general writing and dialogue into this last category, but I don't think that's exactly fair to compare things like character dialogue between these two games, since one is done in a made-up bug language with subtitles, and the other is fully voiced and mocapped. Although that mocap honestly is fucking suspect as shit. If you do think that's fair, then I'm allowed to compare something that Expedition 33 didn't focus on to something that Silksong did, like platforming. But I don't think you really want to open up that door, because there are countless nitpicky flaws I could find in Expedition 33 that are absent in Silksong, and I'm sure vice versa. If we go there, there we will be till Kingdom Come, pun not intended, and Jeff Keighley has long since delivered the award, pun intended, and keeled over, also pun intended. Chapter 1, Art. The art in Expedition 33 is stunning, visually impressive, vibrant, and unique to its world. It feels right at home with its French inspiration and right at home with the game's fantastical context. The art in Silksong is stunning, visually impressive, and unique to its world. It feels right at home within its own universe and is even more detailed and packed with character than Hollow Knight's art was. And again, Hollow Knight's art was and has been heralded as a standard to which all modern Metroidvanias aspire. So where's the huge quality gap here? here. You might say, well, Expedition 33 is a 3D game and thus demands more care and effort put into its world since the user can move in a 3D space, to which I might respond, well, Silksong is a Metroidvania, a genre in which every area must be carefully and cleverly interconnected to the rest of the map, so its world actually required more care and thought in the design process. Are you getting what I'm saying here? They are both impressive visually and artistically in different ways. There's no right or wrong here. The only thing that's wrong is to call one better than the other. This is the pattern we're gonna follow for each of the other 3 categories, by the way, which leads us into Chapter 2, Music. I'm not a music expert. I haven't a degree in it. I dropped the trumpet when I was in 8th grade. Other people are more qualified than me to compare the quality of these 2 soundtracks, if there is such an objective way to do so.
Well, how do you know when's in a music competition? Isn't it subjective?
No.
I can only offer you my opinions on these 2 soundtracks. Expedition 33 probably has the 2 most universally appealing songs in either of the 2 scores, Lumière and Une vie à ta mère. Sorry about that pronunciation. Une vie à ta mère. But both of those songs are absolute bangers, some of my favorite individual video game tracks ever. Guess which soundtrack I listen to more? There are a few more from Expedition 33's soundtrack that I really enjoy. I like Verso's theme a lot, and I like the piano number that he plays for Mael, but overall, maybe I should just show you the E33 soundtrack really quick. Do you see how long this is? Do you see? And for me, this is not a soundtrack where every song is of the same quality. Many of these just blur together, and many of them are 10+ minutes long, which would be fine if the music was consistently holding my interest. I do love Pink Floyd, by the way, before I get accused of having no musical patience, but many of these songs are just fine. It reminds me a lot of John Williams. Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, his themes are amazing, iconic, all-time masterpieces. His filler stuff, it feels filler. It really does. And Expedition 33's soundtrack is like that. When it's good, it's incredibly good, but there is a lot of filler. Silksong's score, by contrast, it's almost completely devoid of fat. This is a lean soundtrack full of songs that are expertly crafted and incredibly atmospheric, which comes as no surprise at all because that's exactly how Hollow Knight was too. It's much shorter, and its individual songs are often shorter too, but does that mean less good? Does a thinner menu mean a worse restaurant? Why don't you go visit the Cheesecake Factory and then get back to me? This is another category that, in my opinion, should be decided on an individual basis. I've listened to them both. I want to listen to Silksong's a lot more. So let's not fight this point anymore unless some nerdy music major wants to prove me objectively wrong on this somehow. But this brings us to Chapter 3, Combat. This category, almost more than any other, is so clearly a matter of personal preference to me that it almost feels like a waste of time to talk about it. If you like turn-based combat with a dash of real-time Sekiro-like action, you're gonna prefer E33. And I'll add that it's easily my favorite turn-based game I've ever played. If you prefer combat in real time that feels like a deadly dance of dodges and counterattacks, there are few games that even come close to rivaling Silksong's system. I'll also add that despite having played Nine Souls, despite having played The Lost Crown, despite having played Ori, Dread, and even this game's predecessor, Silksong's combat is my favorite in the Metroidvania genre. There are things that are frustrating. Yeah, totally. I kind of hate double mask contact damage, but are you gonna look me dead in my face's ass and tell me that E33 doesn't have annoying fights as well? If you want to say that E33's combat is superior, that's fine, but you better qualify that statement with the following words: for me, or you and I are gonna enter our own little combat encounter in the parking lot. I'm kidding, of course, say whatever you want, but just know that I think it's stupid to think that one system is better than the other when the 2 systems in question are 2 of the best examples of their types that have ever been created. Chapter 4, Narrative. There are 2 schools of thought when it comes to narrative storytelling in games. Well, that's not true. There are more schools of thought than that, but for the sake of this video, there are only 2 schools of thought. The first is what I would term traditional video game storytelling. This is dialogue and story-driven narrative where context is given to the player regardless of what path they might take as they play. It's the story delivered through conversations in unmissable cutscenes, that kind of thing. This is Expedition 33. Then there's what I would call the lore stories, the lories, if I may. These are stories you kind of have to earn. You gotta go out of your way to fully understand them, reading signs, item descriptions, descriptions, finding hidden stuff. These are the stories that won't give you everything you need to get it through the unmissable cutscenes alone, or obvious campfire dialogue interactions alone. That kind of story is what Silksong does. If you think Silksong's narrative is weak, it's because you haven't tried hard enough to understand what it's really about. You need to get at interpreting. Spoilers at this point for both games, but I want to be a bit more specific about some of the themes they tackle. E33 is an incredibly creative world that kind of turns on its head at a certain point when the player is exposed to certain truths about said world. It grapples with themes like duty, sacrifice, what it means to be human. I like all that shit a whole bunch. It discusses depression, family, and one's place in the world, the purpose and power of art, as well as grief and how we deal with it. These are themes that so many people can and have connected with. Silksong starts as a simple tale about a warrior that's lost in a new and dangerous land, trying to uncover the truth of why she's been brought there. It very quickly evolves into a story about religion, economy, and faith, and how these things can be leveraged to control the hearts, the minds, and the very lives of the beings that they cast their shadow over. It's about rebellion, honor, kindness, and the bonds of love overcoming the darkness that surrounds us. It is also packed full of deeper themes that so many of us can and have connected with. Both games' narratives are incredibly rich, like the Great Wall of Chocolate from P.F. Chang's, but can you guess which one I happen to connect with more? That's right, it's Silksong. In the end, both of these games are masterpieces and both are deserving of the award. This isn't a Return of the King versus everything else being good but not really in the same weight class as Return of the King type conversation. This is a Moonlight versus La La Land type conversation, where both are perfect representatives of the best that their genres have to offer, and who the can really say which is better or more deserving. And I bet that line about Return of the King being better than Mystic River or Master and Commander or whatever your favorite film from that crop of nominees was, I bet that pissed off some people just now. And that's the point. I'm not even convinced that it's true, so Bob's your uncle. Even if you want to play the context card and talk about the underdog story of Sandfall and how they're showing up the game industry, are you forgetting that Hollow Knight and essentially Silksong 2 was built by 3 people? 3 people! You want to talk about David versus Goliath? It really doesn't get more David than Team Cherry. So call it a Lifetime Achievement Award for the 2 Hollow Knight games, but I don't think the win for studio size to industry impact ratio category should just be handed over to E33 when Team Cherry has been slaying giants since 2017. I love both of these games, and I don't like having to say why I liked Silksong better when I loved Expedition 33. I recognize the quality of what Sandfall have produced. It just so happens that for me, Silksong wins in every one of these categories for one reason or another. But for you, it may be the exact opposite, and that is also valid. But given the frankly annoyingly one-sided discourse going on in the larger gaming community right now, someone has to have this little bug's back. Mael, if you win, I won't be mad. Your game is fantastic and laudable and French and all that good stuff. You deserve it. But Hornet, I hope you win. Your game is beautiful and somehow lived up to and surpassed all of the ridiculous hype that it gathered like a snowball rolling down a mountain for these long 7 years of development. You deserve it.